truly informed regarding that topic at this moment, but we will, of course, gather the information to make a statement.
Well, now journalist Marco Salgada from Hispan TV from the Republic of Iran. Good afternoon, Mr. President. I have three questions. On the one hand, can this situation, these provocations, U.S. presence in the Caribbean, could lead to a blockade against Venezuela? Could that be the plan that affects ships that enter and exit Venezuela? I want also to ask, what is the message you have for the U.S. people, taking into account that we see a millionaire deployment, a war deployment of warships that cost millions, and there is an impact in U.S. society. There is an important sector in the U.S. that do not want war, and they have stated it. And finally, how do you notice the solidarity that you have received from different countries like Russia, Iran, China, some countries and BRICS countries? How could this Venezuela insist right now for entering BRICS? I'm going over here because there are so many news updates right now. The Council for Cooperation of the Gulf coordinated to create a defense council following the Israeli attack on Doha. Is live news right now, happening right now. President Trump said 300 million people died due to drugs that were brought in by Venezuela. Maduro leads the start of the new school year. These are the headlines. In what can it lead? What can it lead to? Well, anything. When you in your countries, in your homes, put a room and fill it with powder and gasoline, what can happen? You can prosper, or it could be something terrible. If our homes in the Caribbean, pay attention, our brothers and sisters from the Caribbean, all the nations of the Caribbean, Caribbean as a whole, Mexico, Honduras, Great Caribbean. If our home, Great Caribbean, is filled of powder and missiles, that can lead, Marco, in a catastrophe, in a great war in the Caribbean, which has never occurred before, and should not ever have occurred. This war will be a war for a regime change, for oil, for gold, for gas, for the wealth, for the resources of Venezuela. It is a lie what they're saying, that from Venezuela we send great quantities of drugs. That's a lie. President Trump mistook in the number. He said 300 millions, and it's not. It's 100,000 that died yearly, and it's unfortunately all these people that die due to drugs, but drugs like fentanyl, synthetic drugs, which are the ones that are destroying massively U.S. consumers and European consumers. So it's a group of elements that are all false. These are all narratives to justify an escalation, but the objective is not the fight on drugs. The objective is to come in and take over Venezuela and impose colonial authorities in Venezuela and carry out a regime change in Venezuela to seize the immense wealth of oil and gas that Venezuela has. That's the objective. Because if they truly care the fight against drugs, the figures are there. The figures are clear, and we have shown it a lot. I did not bring the maps today, but the figures are clear. Cocaine is produced in Colombia. Because of whom? Because of the Colombian oligarchy that is allied with the United States, beginning with a gentleman called Álvaro Uribe Vélez, allied and agent of the U.S., Iván Duque, that lives in Washington, in a comfortable home, put there by the U.S. government thanks as payment for his services to the U.S., Iván Duque. They built an economy dependent of cocaine. Álvaro Uribe Vélez is in all documents. If the White House wanted to really look for it, he's in all the documents of the 80s as a lieutenant of Pablo Escobar. Álvaro Uribe Vélez, as head of an institution in charge of aeronautics in Medellin, legalized all the planes that carry cocaine in the 80s to the U.S. But it is there. And then he fulfilled the dream of Pablo Escobar, that a member of the Medellin cartel entered the Colombian presidency. They degraded the Colombian policy. And they set up a system. How many hectares are sown of cocaine? Over 400,000 hectares. And all the cocaine that goes to the United States and in great part to Europe is produced in our brotherly, beloved Colombia. The only president that has faced with a new strategy, a plan, that situation is the current president of Colombia, Gustavo Petro. This is Vox Populi in Colombia. This is not something I'm discovering right now. Colombia knows this. And in the United States they do as well. They know it. They know it very well. Now, if you say that Venezuela sends that poison to there, that's lies. Pure lies. We do not produce it. There is not a single hectare of cocaine plantations here in Venezuela. In operations on the border, they set up 3 hectares where they were going to start to grow cocaine, but what did we do? We took it away. We eliminated 3 hectares that were on the borderline. That is a borderline that is not even set. There are no laboratories for production here in Venezuela. And when we find one, we destroy it. And with the territorial presence of our military, or we bombed it with drones or with the aviation. So it is a lie. Here it is. Well, we must always show this. You know, as journalists, we must reiterate always. Here we have it. Where does this come from? All the cocaine, 87% goes through the Pacific. What is even worse, 70% of cocaine that leaves Colombia goes through Ecuador. And the ships and navy that have been captured in the United States and Europe say that belongs to the company of Noboa, the fraudulent president of Ecuador. I won't hide this. From Venezuela, we are always going to say the truth. 8% goes out La Guajira from Colombia, and barely 5% tries to go through Venezuela. And as you saw today, we seize legally and perfectly executed, because we are truly taking care of our seas. We seize 3,700 kilograms of cocaine of the highest purity. So we continue to move forward, and Venezuela, hopefully next year, we reach 100% free of any kind of drug trafficking or presence of these terrorist groups in Venezuela. This is the truth. So, do you think that repeating a lie thousands of times will turn it into a truth? That won't work with Venezuela. 1,000 times repeated lie against Venezuela will go back to you and will bite